Hello there everybody, so Night and welcome back to Tokyo Babel. Now then, oh boy, I think we're actually getting toward the end here. Now that we made it to Jacob's Ladder, I wonder how much time we actually have left now. Let us continue our journey to heaven, and hopefully if there's a god there, we could kick him on his ass for doing a terrible job. The sheer majesty of it left me in complete awe. Let me see, everything's set up here? Right. A stairwell bright as the stars, its steps climbing far into the distance, piercing the clouds. At its end, beyond the boundaries of Tokyo Babel, stood the gates of heaven. The stairwell proved wide enough for us to walk side by side. Raziel cast a terrified gaze at the steps below. I'm very curious to see what she did that would cause the calamity. Probably pissed off God some way or another. Her memories of the divine calamity, memories of the sins she had committed. Nonetheless, she needed them back. Oh, nice music. We began our long ascent up Jacob's Ladder. The moment we took our first steps, I immediately felt separated from the Tokyo Babel I'd come to call my home. The canvas of the heavens stretched far and wide above the stairwell, its steps leading ever upwards in a straight line. For some reason, flying never occurred to me, and I didn't feel like I could have done it even if I did. We continued onwards at a leisurely pace, taking one firm step after another. The brightly shining sun above showed no sign of movement. I was going to keep track of time through my internal clock, but eventually forgot about it. The very concept of time had seemingly been erased here. We felt no fatigue as we pressed on, nor did we ever begin to sweat. Not even boredom would rear its ugly head. Only one thing mattered: climbing the stairwell before us. That sole action filled my heart with pure bliss. I forced myself to stop, prompting Raziel, who had ascended a step further than me, to turn around and look back at me with confusion. As we were still holding hands, she could advance no further like this. I pulled out the Bacati sword from a pocket dimension, took a firm hold of the sharp end of its blade, and squeezed with all the strength I could muster. I forcefully amplified my senses, causing myself to experience a particularly acute jolt of pain. This served to distract my mind from the wicked illusion of bliss that assailed me for a moment before. The way to heaven had to be filled with hardship, a journey bereft of joy, for a man must ascend as he shoulders the heavy burden of his cross. I balled my wounded hand into a fist, forcibly preventing the blood from coagulating. This is the pain of mankind, the very pain that made us human. I continued to ascend, taking step after step, discarding all but the pain and warmth of her palm and mine. The mental contamination had grown increasingly severe, forcing me to eventually discard even my past memories of Tokyo Babel. My training session with Belial, the first time I met Camiel and Astaroth, the day I met Lilith and Sormi, all the time we spent together. I deemed each memory redundant, discarding them without hesitation. Damn! I sighed in relief as the blank region of my mind expanded once again. All my memories, save for those of Raziel, had been reduced to mere data profiles. As I continued to climb the stairwell, I found myself uttering a phrase that had never left my lips before. Yeah? Crippling anxiety ravaged my heart, coupled with the precise fear that eventually, the ever-advancing mental contamination would erase even Raziel from my mind. Which is why I felt I should say the words while I still had the chance. A faint smile crept onto her lips. It may have seemed like I was trying to act mature. Oh, damn. She does have a nice voice, I'll admit.
とにかく君のことは全部好きだ。今のうちにこれだけは伝えておきたかった。今のうちに。
Raziel's expression shifted to one of complete astonishment. She must have realized what I was trying to say.
もしかして刹那。
クグツ空にリリス、アスタルト、カマエル、ベリアル。
All gone without a trace. How we spent our time together, how their words might have moved my heart, I could remember nothing of it. Raziel spoke up again, her tone coated in sadness. I tried as best as I could to shelter my emotions when I finally responded.
ラジエルが謝るようなことじゃない。いつか通る道だった。
In order to prevent madness from claiming my mind, to protect the one I held most dear, there had to be a price to pay.
それでもごめん。
Raziel's voice fell to a whisper, her very tone pregnant with regret. Did she feel that way because this all pertained to her lost memories? We continued to ascend, upwards and upwards and upwards.
もうすぐ雲だね。
Her words made it feel like we were close to the end. The sun continued to shower us with its light, but I could still catch a glimpse of the stars and the moon. The veil of brilliant white clouds blanketed Jacob's ladder. Naturally, we had no choice but to break through, knowing that beyond it lay the sealed gates of heaven.
行こ
We passed through the blanket of clouds. The corrupted feelings lingering in them made the experience both suffocating and terrifying. May you embrace eternal bliss. Its resounding prayer permeated the very clouds, incessant, aggravating, unnecessary. Under constant attack by such sensations, the two of us continued onwards. Hello. Having held my breath for so long, I sounded somewhat awkward when I finally exhaled.
着いた。
A hint of excitement lingered in Raziel's voice. Even I found myself in awe as we beheld the gates of heaven towering above us. However, it lasted a mere heartbeat.
変わらない。何も変わってない。
She appeared somewhat relieved. If she was right, nothing had changed. Then how would I explain this ominous feeling creeping up on my heart? In all its splendor and divine majesty, something about the gates felt out of place. Nonetheless, we had to press on. Neither of us had any intention to turn back. At first glance, I spotted no keyholes. I suppose we would simply need to push the gates open. I promptly placed my right hand on its surface. In that very moment, I felt like my entire arm was ready to melt away. My right arm reached into the gate until the elbow, almost like it had become one with it, as I uttered a single word.
開け。
The gate began to slide open with a heavy creak, and so the door to heaven was liberated, officially completing the mission Lilith had entrusted me with. Whatever came next would be driven by my will and mine alone. I wished to stay by Raziel's side as we ventured onwards to reclaim her memories.
行こ
I stepped forward without even waiting for an answer, ready to bear witness to a world showered by light under the gaze of brilliant blue skies. Yep, I called it. Pretty much it's... I knew heaven was going to frickin' look bad. No. What is this? What is this overwhelming terror in the air? Before us stretched a rainbow-colored sky, its rich palette inviting madness into the hearts of all those who gazed upon it. In the distance, a lavish field of green. Upon the numerous stakes littering the field groaned not the sinners of the world, but angels. Their moans were not that of anguish and despair, but pure, unmitigated joy. Their bodies pierced through, their entrails naked and exposed, yet they gazed upon the carnage with expressions of genuine bliss. That is fucked up! We stopped at a field of flowers nearby with a young girl and a boy bathing in each other's blood. The boy held up a smiling, severed head and hurled it in the other's direction. The girl caught it, then promptly placed it on the neck of a headless body.
動かないよ。ダメみたい。
じゃあ次は君の首で試してみようよ。
Huh? The young boy immediately decapitated the girl with the hatchet he had been holding. The girl's head, smile frozen on its lips, tumbled to the ground. Holy shit, this is heaven. They were massacring each other in the most gruesome ways unimaginable. In that case, shouldn't this place be called hell? The problem was that each and every one of them seemed to be enjoying it. Happily drowning in joy, all of them. They might have felt pain, but never despair. This was their bliss, their paradise. Angels and mortals alike indulging in their own desires, shedding each other's blood without a care in the world. Mortals who accumulated several virtuous deeds had their sins purified and thus earned their place in heaven, as well as the angels who were allowed to reside there through the Lord's pardon. They were both at each other's throats now, spilling blood with smiles unfading. In other words, thoughts would only lead to unhappiness. They imagined their future and despaired at the death they saw in it. And here they were now, liberated from its yoke, their minds devoid of reason, no longer able to comprehend death. In such a state, despair would elude them. Pain would transform to ecstasy, dread and despair to unbridled rapture. In short, this was the true face of heaven. The other angels all looked up at Raziel as Raziel's terrified scream echoed across the plains.
どうしたの？一緒に殺し合いましょう。大好きよ、ラジエル。だから私を殺してもいいよ。
Without a second of hesitation, I lifted my sword and mowed down all the maddened angels lunging at us. I rushed up to Raziel, who had been crouching on the ground screaming, picked her up and continued on. No matter where we ran or flew, a flock of angels came after us in pursuit, each of them flashing broad smiles as they bled from several wounds like a group of living dead. I ran, soared as fast as I could, but there was no end to heaven. Its realm stretched infinitely in all directions. Raziel pried herself free from my embrace and collapsed onto a grassy field, convulsing like she was experiencing a seizure of sorts. I hurried to her side and clutched her hand, intent on calming her down.
私の方はそうだ。ここに私の方はここにある。
She took a few unsteady steps. I slaughtered every single one of the angels that caught up to us. After trudging through a heap of smiling corpses, I took off in pursuit of Raziel. And eventually arrived here. A colossal, majestic building that could very well instill fear in its observer. Holy shit, this is really fun. This might be the worst heaven I think I've ever heard of, or witnessed. Raziel bolted off. I followed. I ran and ran as much as my legs would allow me, and then I saw it. I couldn't find the words. We were looking at an entire mountain of corpses, all belonging to angels. This in itself hardly differed from the situation outside, except for one notable exception. Their expressions. The angels and mortals we had encountered outside all had expressions of utmost ecstasy and joy. The faces of these angels, on the other hand, were frozen in terror, their expressions violently contorted by anguish and despair. Although we had been spared the stench of decay, the smell of blood in the air was all too prevalent.
アジエル。
そう、私はあの時理解してしまった。誰に教えられたか。サマエル。そう、サマエルに教えられたのだ。
Samael. She gently lifted a book off the nearby desk. It was the other volume of the Sefer Raziel, the so-called Book of Heavens.
人間にあって天使と悪魔と、そして神に存在しないものが一つ存在する。それは何だと思う？
Mechanical pencils?
わからない。
それは
Oh,
永遠という概念。
どういうこと？永遠を知らなかった。
Raziel shook her head.
違う。我々は単語の意味として永遠を知っていた。けれど、それがもたらすものを決して考えられないように設計されていた。
She held up her book.
この宇宙の章には全て書かれている。悪魔、天使、そして神の設計図すら。
Even the blueprints for God? The design blueprints for God? Impossible. Ignoring my astonishment, Raziel carried on in a low tone.
私は天使たちに告げた。この永遠という概念を。つまり
Then they lost their minds due to the concept of eternity? Raziel glanced at the terror-stricken faces of the dead angels and shook her head.
惨劇の起点は私ということになる。
I figured. I stared at Raziel in silence, forgetting even to speak for a few seconds. Flashback? Raziel, hear me, Raziel, holder of God's secrets. Why have you opened our eyes to this terrible concept? Why did you make us understand its cruel truth?
知りたいはずだから。
None of us wanted this knowledge. We lived for eternity, all the while liberated from the very concept of it.
どうして？そんなはずはない。人間が理解しているものを天使たちが理解していなくていいはずがない。
Answer me, Raziel. Who implanted this theory into your mind? Whose whispers led you to this way of thinking? Raziel simply cried, pitifully, heart-wrenchingly.
私は騙されたわけじゃない。そそのかされたわけじゃない。他者の責任ではない。私はただ知るべきだとそう思った。その結果がこれ。
Just the concept of eternity? Okay. How would that drive somebody to insanity, though? The angels had understood the concept of eternity. As they themselves possessed life eternal, that knowledge drove them to insanity. They were forced to live for an eternity. That in itself was a maddening truth, a hellish realization. Oh. Basically talking about I'm guessing basically the negatives of immortality. Without the concept of eternity, it didn't matter if today, tomorrow, and yesterday were all the same. However, they came to comprehend what eternal life truly meant. To them, that realization came as nothing less than a curse. They would live through the downfall of a myriad nations and see the death of entire civilizations, only to remain as mere observers. That would also be a dramatic downside to immortality. Even if the winds of change stir the mortal realm, heaven would remain the same. I accidentally fused heaven and I'll call it Helven. Fuck it, I'm gonna call it that. Even the angels' great war with the demons had been reduced to a distant memory from eons past. Every day, hour, minute, and second would be the same, birthing not a shred of change to heaven. Even if a change did occur, it would last no more than a day or so. They would never stake their very lives to bring about drastic changes like mortals do. Eternity. Whole eternity. 100 years, 200, 300, or 4. Even if every single mortal in every possible parallel world had forgotten about the angels, they would nonetheless have to continue to exist as observers. Their minds could no longer take it and succumb to madness, yearning for happiness. And so they began to sing, and so the chorus was born, a wicked ode tempting all to embrace bliss, to cast aside knowledge and reason. Its melody would penetrate the mind, relentlessly spreading corruption, urging victims to embrace pure bliss. The countless numbers of angels and mortals slaying each other in never-ending carnage were the result of that. They completely gave themselves to instinct, letting it degrade them to nothing more than savage beasts.
ねえ刹那、どうすればいい？私はどう償えばいい？私はどこに逃げればいい？
The angels began closing in on us. They were eternal, no matter how much blood was shed. As long as they embraced their happiness, they would never die. Heaven was a place where all that could be made possible. Unlike the angels and demons of Tokyo Babel who struggled to survive each and every day, the residents of heaven were the chosen few. We were cornered and had nowhere to run. For a moment, my mind's eye imagined what could await us, our minds yielding to madness and the pain of an agonizing death. I wished to invoke my raison d'etre, to trample the overwhelming odds towering before us, but it was all in vain, just like with the mechanical angels. They were entirely too weak. It mattered little how I attacked them or what weapon I brandished, they would perish in mere seconds. They possessed two advantages of note. One would be their madness, which prevented them from even considering their own lives. And of course, the fact that they possessed eternal life. As they were weaklings, I could not prevail over them. I might be able to defeat a boss of sorts. Would killing God solve anything, though? I had a feeling that answer would be no. They all had but one common objective, one they pursued in complete unison. They would kill, murder, massacre. Even if they were reduced to the atomic level, they would simply come back to life and continue their bloody work. So what was I supposed to do? How could I defeat them, goddammit?
刹那、私は疲れた。ここで殺されて、頭が壊れて、笑いながら、幸福に浸りながら。
Sorry,
まだ死に続ける方がいいかもしれない。
Well, first off, I'm going to apologize for interrupting you. Second, I'm not going to allow you to do that. Raziel walked up in front of me, still clutching the book in her embrace.
Nazir!
She would not turn around to face me. Instead, she spoke up, her voice a mere whisper.
刹那は逃げて。どこだっていい。とにかく逃げて。
She had committed a sin, one she could never atone for.
ごめんなさい。
She walked up in front of the group of smiling angels, drawing ever closer. I could already see what would happen in just a few seconds. She would be mercilessly impaled, her mind broken beyond repair, lost in the endless cycle of bloodshed that was heaven. Or perhaps if fate had a different idea in mind, she would reign over one of Tokyo Babel's strata as a master, killing innocents until a pilgrim finally brought her down. No matter the outcome, her future held only tragedy. If that was what Raziel herself desired, I would not stand in her way. Even I felt surprised by my own thoughts. Yet how could a man not desire the happiness of the angel he loved? That was the answer. I finally understood. In order to atone for her sins, she had to allow madness to befoul her soul to its very core. This was her chance. I see it clearly now. I see.
Yada!
Grabbing Raziel's shoulder, I forcefully pushed myself in front of her as she stared at me in silent shock. I turned towards her, smiling.
僕が一緒に死んでやる。一緒に壊れてやるから。一人で死ぬな。
For the first time in my life, I flashed an uncharacteristically broad smile. I figured I might as well. That final piece of carefree optimism flashed through my mind right before a dozen blades pierced my flesh.
刹那、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、刹那、刹那。
I was impaled alive, sharp steel bit into my neck and abdomen, my arms and legs, waist and back. Well now, death came all too easily when invited willingly and without resistance, a lesson I was going to learn on my own skin soon enough. I felt no physical pain, only my heart ached with dread, fearing what would become of me, how I would be changed, what Raziel would be reduced to. Fatalistic thoughts kept speeding through my mind as I couldn't help but lament my situation. Yet we had no other way to redemption, only this. Perhaps there once was. Perhaps we simply reaped what we had sown after coming this far on a road mistaken. For some reason, the angels around us would not move in closer.
もういい。僕だって疲れた。この世界に救いはない。
私が死ぬのは構わない。自分が自分で亡くなるのだってどうだっていい。でもあなたが死ぬのは嫌だ。
This was not the time to be selfish. If you died, I would too. Despite my insistence, Raziel kept yelling in protest, prompting me to cup her cheeks in my palm.
自分が死ぬのはよくて、僕が死んだらダメだというのはわがままだよ、ラジエル。
I felt my consciousness drifting. I would die, succumb to insanity, die again and live as an eternal prisoner to that never-ending cycle. Terror and fear had long since departed my heart, leaving only a surge of joy in their wake. A torrent of unstoppable bliss. How wonderful. How dazzling its light was. I felt there was no happier man alive. So laugh. Look at how wonderful this all is. Say goodbye to tears and smile. God damn it. My ability to reason began to fail, along with my ability to form coherent sentences. I saw the colors filling my vision twist and shift. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, cyan, and velvet. Almost like a rainbow. Or violet. Fuck. Why did I say velvet? Don't laugh. Once you do, there's no turning back. Even that final fleeting attempt at resistance was washed clean away by a feeling of terrifyingly overwhelming euphoria. Eroding all the rational cognitive capabilities that make men what he is.
これは辛いな。
Making man what he is, what the fuck. The phrase itself felt redundant at this point, yet they would be my final words. Oh, this is... Why did I wish to return to heaven? Only regret remained in my heart. I wished to find my book, hoping that if I had it, things would work out. I may have wandered the realm of mortals, but in the end, heaven would only be my only home. As such, I wanted to return. I wanted things to be the way they used to be. The memories that should have remained sealed cried out in protest. You were the one who orchestrated its downfall. This is all your fault, and you want to return? Enough with the jests. My inner voice had it right. Yet its whispers never reached my ears. And so, with my sins forgotten and guilty conscience discarded, I had ended up struggling against the tide of a cruel fate, believing myself to be just another victim of this tragedy. That is in itself a sin most grave, one I would most soon receive my just punishment for. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I know what I did was wrong. I caused all this. It is my responsibility to bear. He, on the other hand, played no part in it, not even the slightest. Please spare him. Spare him madness and death. My pleas fell on deaf ears. After all, those ears belonged to a god that was most likely too busy wallowing in false bliss somewhere at the edge of heaven. I had no other way to atone for my sins.
違う違う違う違う。罪の償いなんかどうでもいい。助けたいの。刹那を助けたいの。
I had already found the solution. It was a terrible sin, the kind an angel would never even dare to think about. One would sooner wish to have been part of Lucifer's uprising than commit a sin in this grave. Yet its solution came to me as a bolt of inspiration, and I knew it would help put an end to all this. Even I found the method utterly despicable.
私のレゾンデートルは記録。それは神羅万象すべて例外ではない。
I pushed myself erect, casting aside all suicidal thoughts in the blink of an eye. Through a shockwave of concentrated magic, I sent the smiling angels flying. All I needed was 3 minutes.
今まではそれだけでよかった。そこまででよかった。だが、私たちにはその先が必要だ。罪も罰も贖いも償いもすべて知ったことじゃない。
Damn. With the Book of Earth and Heavens together at last, the Sefer Aziel's encryption would be decoded.
リリース。書の名はセファーラジエル。
My one and only tome, created with papyrus and sheepskin, its words written in my very own lifeblood, would be revealed to the world. Its size dwarfed that of a mere book, rather resembling a small-scale structure of sorts.
神羅万象、ビッグバンに至るまで、我が方はそのあらゆるデータを記録している。一文字が国、一文字が命。すべての世界はここに記録されている。
What are you going to do? My book possessed a function that not even I could remember. It acted as an enormous database server. It could even be capable of taking one of the many parallel worlds and recreating it as an image. No, a mere image would not do.
映像だけではダメだ。音だけではダメだ。匂いだけでは、触覚だけでは、味だけではダメだ。
Whoa. I spared not a single drop of magic, releasing all I could potentially muster in order to activate the Sefer Aziel. The world was being created anew, overriding a part of heaven. For this was my power, my raison d'etre. The warm rays of the sun, the gentle breeze to caress the skin. I completely and thoroughly recreated all such things in order to erode and thus create the world anew. All I needed was Setsuna at my side, nothing else. I had no more need for painful memories. I had no need for the angels, nor any friends I held dear. As I let my wish unfold, the very realm of heaven began to be overwritten and painted anew. A colossal outburst of energy akin to a nuclear explosion eradicated all the angels from existence. Even if they were immortal and unaging, regardless of how powerful they were. With the world and its very laws being overwritten, they had but one fate: to disappear. My power had painted heaven anew, destroying the old in the process. Although my companions would no longer be able to reclaim heaven as they had planned, they would not fall victim to madness at Tokyo Babel either. One could say the world had just been saved from ruination, although that might have been a touch too arrogant a way to phrase it. I merely carried out my own wish, did what I wanted. Nothing more, nothing less. The ultimate sin, and the ultimate punishment. Defying atonement and redemption, I simply continued to exist, surrounded by happiness and bliss. Fuck! With my body still weary from drowsiness, I felt the pleasant scent of wood filling my nostrils. The gentle warm air caressing my skin must have been the result of me sitting near the window. My eyelids flickered open at the sound of a girl's voice sitting in front of me with her hand placed on my shoulder.
朝
夕方。
She replied in a tone hinting at surprise, looking out the window and seeing the landscape tinted in vivid orange. I knew she was right.
おはよ
おはよう、せつな。
The moment she uttered my name, her lips involuntarily curled into a smile. Oh, what was she called again? More importantly than that, though, where was I, and what have I been doing?
別にいいの。
A certain warmth tinted the girl's voice, kindness and love permeating every syllable.
ここでこうしてぼーっとしていようよ。
Just as I was about to speak up in protest, she looked out the window with a melancholic expression I would never forget.
ねえ、キスしていい？
Oh,
いいよ
the swiftness of my reply made her eyes widen in surprise.
もう少し恥ずかしがると思ったのに。
Although the girl seemed somewhat disappointed by my response, she nonetheless closed her eyes and presented her lips. I softly planted my lips on hers, feeling its softness, letting its warmth fill me. For some reason, I wasn't opposed to kissing this girl one
い
bit.
つまでこうしてればいいんだろうか。
After 2 long minutes, oh my god, our lips finally parted, possibly because I held my breath, but during the second half of our kiss, I was honestly starting to feel a bit dizzy.
長くて息苦しかった。
やめるタイミングがわからなかったんだよ。
今のファーストキス？
そうかも。
I wasn't sure why that mattered, though.
感想それだけなんてひどいと思う。
That didn't help me much.
ねえ、ところで私の名前わかるかな？
I'm gonna punch myself in the gut if he doesn't remember her name. There was a certain timidness to the girl as she asked the question. Her name meant a lot to me, but I didn't feel it mattered at all right now. What did matter is that we were
わ
together.
からない。教えてくれ。君の名前は？
私の名前は
She told me her name. I found it both beautiful and fitting. We spent the next few hours discussing a variety of topics, the sky and its brightest stars, the sun, the moon, and people in general. It was sweet, idle chatter without importance.
そろそろ帰ろうか。
As I rose to leave my seat, her expression sank.
どこへ？
Wait, where was my home again? Well, whatever. I'd figured out when I laid canvas.
もう少しお話ししよう。
いや、君のことは好きだけど、家に帰らなくちゃ。
As I stood up and headed straight for the exit,
ね
having just remembered something, I decided to call out to her. The girl gazed at me from her seat with her pair of bright blue eyes.
何？
え、今さら思い出したんだけどさ。僕はやっぱり君のことが好きだよ。
そう。ありがとう。嬉しい。
She didn't seem all that happy, though. Upon noticing the sadness in my gaze, the girl flushed red while fervently shaking her palms in protest.
ごめん、私あまり顔に出ないタイプだから本当に嬉しいの。本当よ。信じて。
信じるよ。よかった。それじゃあ、また明日。
Once I'd said that, she let out a sigh of relief,
また明日。刹那。
and bid me goodbye with a warm smile. Time to head home, then. Whoa, vision's going crazy. Then I'd have dinner, do my homework, go to sleep, and come back here. If I did that, I could meet her again. Feeling almost intoxicated, I began to make my way home. My vision cut to a location, almost like I was in some movie. I continued onwards with short, unsteady steps, surrounded by scenery that looked almost like an artificial backdrop.
家に帰らなきゃ。
Unless I made conscious effort to form the words, I would have forgotten where I was going in the first place. I felt my consciousness grow more unsteady by the second. I never had to differentiate between dream and reality in the first place. In fact, did reality truly exist at all? I couldn't tell. Not someone like me. There was only one thing I knew for certain, that she was someone I held dear. As long as I kept that in mind, I suppose I could live without too many worries. Spending each day in idle tranquility. I could meet her again come tomorrow, and we'd talk some more. That alone would satisfy me. As Tendao Setsuna exited the deserted classroom, I turned my gaze back to the scenery beyond the window. Only he and I existed in this world, its rules imperfect and unfinished. For instance, there was no morning, noon, or evening here. The scarlet of dusk reigned supreme, vivid and red like a messenger of this world's demise. Additionally, the world itself was exceedingly confined, beyond the boundaries of this classroom. The environment appeared vague and undefined, like the stage and props for a cheap drama. The same applied to the flow and perception of time, broken beyond repair everywhere outside this one classroom. In mere seconds, Tendao Setsuna would slide the door open and enter once again. He would fall asleep at his desk and wake up within a handful of minutes. Then the two of us would talk, followed by a kiss. To me, it was a moment of eternal bliss, yet at the same time, the end of my little farce. I had repeated that same scenario over 1,000,000 times now, and every time his lips touched mine, I would feel content and fulfilled. I was happy with it. This makeshift eternity. To have it eventually fill me with tedium was something I dreaded beyond words. Yet I felt content with the way things were now. To chat with him about things of little consequence, followed by a short kiss, that alone would grant me everlasting happiness. Despite all that, I still couldn't help but wonder, would it have been better for us to die that day? To allow madness to claim our minds? The memories I had of the time before this world had become blurry. Even the emotions that stormed within my heart then felt but a distant thing now. The Tendao Setsuna of this world was no different from a glass mannequin, prone to shattering at the lightest of impacts. In fact, the same could be said of this entire universe. Its every atom frail as a house of cards. Which is why I kept my thoughts and actions restrained, maintaining this deception for his sake alone, to prevent him from buckling under despair, to make him never feel this eternity. I would be lying if I said I had never felt conflicted. If every single one of our meetings added more to my sins, mine would surpass even the weight of the cosmos. And yet, such feelings of guilt.
Yeah.
こんにちは、せつな。
Felt as insignificant as a speck of dust in the wind every time he came to meet me. He seated himself at his desk, inclining his head in confusion.
初対面だっけ？どこかで会ったよね。いや、クラスメートだから当然か。
Damn. I nodded. I was your classmate, your friend, and someone who wished to be your lover. That last wish of mine can only be granted in this awkward way, though. Still, I felt content enough with it.
そう。起きたらまた話をしましょう。
そう。だな。
Setsuna began to doze off, letting his upper body rest atop the desk as I gazed untiringly at his sleeping face. Each day with him was tranquil like a dream. As long as I had this, I needed nothing else. Not even my book. Deciding now would be a good time to wake him, I gave Setsuna's shoulder a light shake. He let out a drowsy groan as his eyelids slowly opened, glancing up at me with a blank stare. I parted my lips to utter his name, pouring a torrent of emotions into the word.
せつな。
Now then, let our 1,013,876th meeting begin. Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god. That was Raziel's story? That was oh my... Oh! Oh, ugh. I don't know what the hell I'm feeling right now. I have got this... Oh my god, what is this sick feeling in my gut? Damn! Okay. Was... Was that it? Okay. I don't think this is the end. I didn't get an achievement or anything, so I don't know if that was... Oh my god. why do I feel like I probably should have tried to return to Pandora? Because that was both... I don't know what to call that. But for some reason, I got that feeling of just... I just feel... I don't think I'm done with Tokyo Babel yet. I mean, specifically Raziel's route. Did I do something wrong, or was that actually Raziel's route? I don't know. Oh my god. Please tell me in the comments, did I do something wrong along the way, or was that actually Raziel's ending? Because that was, holy, I'm at a loss for words. I am at a loss for words. I guess in the next episode we'll choose Return to Pandora. Because that just left open so many freaking plot holes. That ignored a shit ton of plot holes. I'm sorry, not plot holes, unanswered questions. Like a ridiculous amount. Oh my god. So unfortunately that is where I'm going to end this. I'm sorry, but I need to figure out what the hell I did wrong. Because part of me thinks that was not a good ending. I mean, sure, Raziel got eternal happiness, but damn! I'm gonna stop babbling and I'm just going to go lay down just for a minute, or for a while, not a fucking minute, for a long while, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you after this headache goes away.